We're back from Kentucky, and what a day it has been. So a few things. Since my last couple of videos, I've had questions, have people that will make comments or they're curious about certain things, and so I just jotted down a couple things so that I stay on track. I had someone ask this week, they thought, or I guess it wasn't really a question, they said something about they didn't know that we had gutted the whole house, or that something about gutting the house. When we acquired the property, the downstairs of the main house had already been, they had gutted, they had started putting up drywall. They were in a renovation process, and then that did not progress. And so when we acquired the house, we had a lot of work to do. And because we decided to put in the beadboard, we didn't need the drywall up. So that was an extra added step to remove the drywall that had been put in place and to be ready for the beadboard. Now, while I was up there, I captured some video of the progress. They were able to begin with the ceiling. They finished out the bay, where the bay window, the 3 windows in the bay section of the master bedroom. They finished out putting the beadboard up those walls, and they had just begun, gotten a little ways in. I don't even know how much, not quite a fourth of a way in, when I had to leave to come back before it got dark. I didn't want to be driving in the dark. So they were well on their way getting that beadboard up on the ceiling. And which brings me to the next thing I wanted to clarify. I had someone ask about, they said, I thought beadboard was smaller. And, when I was taking the videos, and even when they had just started the work and they'd sent me a video, like, this is what we're getting the beadboard up. And honestly, I almost panicked. I got on the phone and my son answered, and I said, Kale, are they putting it up the right way? Because one side of the lumber, of the piece of board, looks like you can use it as shiplap, but the other side shows the beading, the beadboard side. And he said, Mama, we're getting it on the right side. I said, I figured you were. I just kind of had a little bit of panic because I couldn't see it just in the video. It didn't show up as much. Well, this afternoon when I got up there, I'll tell you what I did at the middle of the day in just a second. But when I got there this afternoon to check on them and their progress, what was up on the ceiling, I could see the beadboard more defined than what I could see on the walls. So I guess that's why maybe some people had asked. The other thing I think that I know I've used it before in other homes, we've seen it, you can get panels that looks like the beadboard, but it's just one panel, and you can nail that up and paint it, and that's about like that. What is in the house on that little side porch, I think, is authentic beadboard. It's not the panels, because it's from way back. Sometimes the beadboard is going vertical, and sometimes you see it horizontal. In our cottage in Franklin, it was running horizontal in the little hallway between our bedrooms and the bath. And I loved that horizontal effect. So that's what we're doing in the house, is installing these long boards that have the beading through in the middle. So you can see that. And they're putting up those boards one at a time horizontally. So it's giving a really, really cool effect. The other thing that I noticed when I was flipping through, it's Rachel Ashwell's book. It's the Prairie. She's redone the cover and the title and everything, because there's no longer the Prairie, the bed and breakfast that she had in Texas. But I have that book from years ago. I got before my visit to the Prairie, and I opened up the main farmhouse that was there, the main big bedroom, the best suite. It was beautiful. I think it's shiplap on the walls and beadboard on the ceiling, and it was all painted white. And I'll tell you, that was inspiration to see that this afternoon when I was flipping through it, because we had really debated the last couple of nights, and Tim had been watching. We've been pulling up YouTube videos and doing some research, and he was saying, what it would take to stain. We were thinking maybe we'd stain the ceiling and have the walls painted white, and then the floor, the hardwood floor, and so it would kind of break it up a bit. But when we saw how labor intensive it would be to stain each piece of lumber, I said, no, we're not, I'm not putting you through that, or Terry or Kale, anybody. And we have the sprayer that sprays the paint and can do a quick. We'll just have to tape off the windows and around those windowsills that we were talking about, the framing the window, to leave that part the dark wood. So that's a little background on the house. Now, what took up the middle of my day, we've done this a few times, when I get up there, Ben Ashby lives right down the road. Now, Ben Ashby is the one, we have the events at the farmhouse in the summer. Sometimes you see me post about that, or I don't know if maybe on YouTube, I don't guess I have, but on Instagram, if you follow me there, or maybe on Facebook, he has those events, and there's usually one in the fall. There may be something at Christmas, and there's something in the spring, and the Southern Supper is in the summer. And I had met Ben, back in 2016 in Jen O'Connor's Earth Angel Studios tent, under the tent there at the Country Living Fair in Nashville. And then, and I didn't know who he was. It was just a brief exchange, and I didn't know. I had just met Jen in Texas a couple of weeks before, and so we were all meeting back up again. But then we got reacquainted a couple years later in Nashville, in Franklin actually, and then we got to talking, and we had a phone conversation. I remember I was up here in the studio, and we were talking, getting ready. It was in the middle of the pandemic, and trying to plan if we were going to be able to do some things. And we got on the phone talking, and we realized it's such an incredibly small world. My mother taught high school. The first school where she taught was in Ohio County in Kentucky, in Reynolds Station, Fordsville. They lived in Reynolds Station. She taught at Fordsville High School. I didn't know anybody else that knew where that was. I didn't even know where that was. I just knew she'd always talked about that was her first teaching position, and Dad pastored a little church there in Reynolds Station, and he was going to seminary back and forth in Louisville. And when they were in seminary, that's how they'd found out about this little church. One of his professors had said, oh, they need a pastor there. Why don't you just go? So there's that history there with Ohio County, where our property is, the Homeplace. Turns out, in this conversation with Ben on the phone, his mother taught at that same high school. My mother was there teaching in the late 50s. His mother was there in the late 70s teaching at Fordsville High School. And we're like, what are the odds? What a small world. And so as I began going up to his events, and we got to talking and sharing and exchanging and ideas, and that was last summer. I had been up there several times for different events. And when he posted the pictures of this property and said, this property is coming available, someone needs to buy this. Someone needs to take on this place and bring it back to life. That's when people say, why Kentucky and why there? And when they say, well, what is it close to? I'm like, absolutely nothing. But that's our connection to this place, to Centertown in Ohio County, which is just down the road from Beaver Dam, which is just down the road from Fordsville and Reynolds Station. So on Saturdays, what we've been doing is when I go up there, the men are working on the labor-intensive part of this project. There's not much I can do but just document it. I head over to Ben's farmhouse, and we've been having luncheons with some of the creatives in the area. Sometimes it's a few of us, sometimes more, sometimes less. And we'll cook. We'll all be in the kitchen trying out new recipes. Well, we sit around the big long table. We throw around, exchange ideas. We brainstorm. We plan. We talk about the ins and outs of this whole world, of this creative world. We show our things that I'm working. I was showing show and tell the baby blanket I'm working on. We have a new grandbaby on the way, coming in May, and it'll still be a little chilly. But my daughter loves this shade. This is the prickly pear, and I finished a shawl with this color, with this shade of yarn, and my daughter just loved it. Well, she loves prickly pear. I didn't realize it was a cactus, so I got an education on prickly pear. But it's the same color as the beeswax of the candles that I love. And it's just, in some of the things that she's been getting for the baby, this color is so prevalent. I've had a lot of people ask, this is my favorite yarn store, our local yarn store in our county. Now, it still takes me almost an hour to get there, farther end of the county from me, at U and Company, EWE, U and Company. So clever. But I've gotten several skeins of this from her. And I think there had been people that had wondered about what else I was using, the other two colors. I had picked these up at a craft store. And, it's not that I'm a yarn snob, but I just love supporting indie dyers, independent yarn dyers, and our local yarn stores. So, but in a pinch, I was out and found, this is, I think, called Bed of Roses. I don't even know what brand. And this was called Flamenco. And it's hard to see in the light. It's just a really soft, peachy pink shade. So it's not a pink because it's not real girly, but it's just enough to give a contrast with the stripes. So this is yet another granny stripe. I have been working on this granny stripe for so long, and I'm gonna have it where it goes up to my up to my chin and down to the floor. So I keep working on it, keep adding, keep just a few rows at a time, and it's just wonderful, relaxing, mindless, just therapy for me. So today at Ben's, we laughed so much, we ate too much. He baked fresh bread, he had butter, he had churned. He's just a wonder. He's an amazing human being, amazing friend. And he took some pictures of me with my things, so I'll add that in here. I'm also going to add in the video clip. Today they were on scaffolding. Tim had found some scaffolds on sale at Lowe's. I don't know what's comparable to y'all in wherever you're part of the world, but it's they were on sale. So they had put up they set those up. When I got there, my son was on one scaffold, my husband on the other one. Terry had the saw. They were sawing and nail gunning, and the sun was just coming down over in the afternoon, and it's been sunny today. Can you tell? It was so needed after this school week, and I love my students. I love the teachers I teach with, everything about it, but it is hard work. It is mentally and physically draining. And so I feel like I've just had a big dose of vitamin C, of just restore my energy. I've been inspired. There's some days that I think, do I keep going with my creative side of myself? Will that be there still when this school year is over? And so each Saturday I get a little piece of that back. I say, yeah, it's still there. And And so these Saturdays to go and see the progress on the house, to see what the men are, how they're progressing, it brings balance to our world. Um, I guess that's all I had for today, for this week's episode. And if you are enjoying these, we half the time we don't know exactly what we're doing with this, and we just know that we want to document as much as we can, because I was sharing this morning on my stories on Instagram and on Facebook that when I look back over these, I'll go there and I think, oh, we've got so much to do, so much work still left to do. But when I look back from the summer up until now, this is January, oh my goodness, the progress. There is light at the end of this tunnel. We're going to get there, and we're just slow and steady wins the race, right? So another Saturday down. I guess I can't think of anything else. If you have questions, if there's things you're wondering about, you just have no idea how much it means to see your comments pop up on these videos, and that you're following along. And if you've missed something, maybe go back through the episodes. I try to number them. I think this is episode 9. And if you like these, just subscribe to our channel and hit the little bell. It'll give you notifications on when I've posted something, or it might be in the form of a short. I didn't know they had YouTube shorts, so I've done a couple of those. So you might find some of the episodes in the section entitled shorts. But I hope you're enjoying. I'm just glad you're here. And now I'm beginning to ramble and repeat myself. So I'm going to push the little red button, and I'm going to go and splice and enter and put things in to create this for you. So go have a good rest of your Saturday evening, or maybe it's Sunday morning already where you are. But enjoy the rest of your weekend. And I hope if you are have a task that seems daunting, that you will remain encouraged and don't lose heart, don't lose hope. Find a way to get your little dose of inspiration. I hope maybe this helps. So have a good evening. We'll talk to you next time.